What's happening, people? Welcome back to Free From Fear, a safe space to embrace horror, hosted by Top Caca Demon Slayer 2024, Liam Bolton. Free From Fear is available on most major podcasting platforms, including Spotify and Google Podcasts. Find the one that suits you best by going to freefromfear.buzzsprout.com. Before we get started, please check out Free From Fear over on Bluesky at freefromfearpod.bsky.social. Get following and come discuss all things horror with me. Also check out Free From Fear on YouTube, where you can find all episodes to the podcast as well as exclusive YouTube videos that can't be found on podcasting platforms. Today, we're just going to talk about the year to come and beyond. Happy New Year, everyone, and I hope everyone had an awesome, amazing Christmas where you just feasted on loads of food and chockies and got loads of prezzies from your friends and fam, and also gifted stuff, because it's nice to gift things as well sometimes. But today, we're just delving straight into it. It is the beginning of the year. We are now in the year of our Lord Jesus Christ, 2025, and we have plenty on the horizon when it comes to horror, and specifically for this episode, as with most episodes, but specifically for this episode, we're talking upcoming horror games in the year 2025 and possibly very potentially beyond. I think a lot of this is for my own sake as well, because, you know, the last 2-3 weeks have been like a bit of a blur for me, just because Christmas and spending time with family, not really having a chance to have this, where it's just me, locked in a little room. I got spooky videos going on in the background to get me in the mood. It's what I do every time I record these, especially if it's very topical, so whatever I'm talking about will tend to be on the screen, and I like to think it helps me with coming up with things to say. But yeah, the last couple of weeks have been like a bit of a blur with Christmas and everything. And when I actually was thinking to myself, what am I going to talk about in the next episode of Free From Fear? I did have another idea that I was going to do up until this morning, pretty much. And then this morning I came up with an easier idea for me to talk about. It's something I can it doesn't require a lot of research. I've got a page up, and I'm going to read through bits, and then I'm going to just give my opinion on certain things, and, you know, whether I'm looking forward to it, why I'm excited about certain games, blah, blah, blah. The other idea I needed to do a little bit more research, and I just haven't had the time. Now that things are sort of normalizing, you know, we're all back in work now. We actually remember what day it is, you know what I mean? Is it just me? It couldn't have been just me. I for the majority of December did not know what day it was, because everything just sort of it just became one big blur. You know, going to one family member's house one day, and then everyone's coming to your house the next day, and then you're having Christmas dinner, and then you're having something else. Blah, 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 blah. My days, Christmas is just it's a rough time of year for me. I like it when it's like this, peaceful, calm, and you just get to sit, talk, and think about horror games before eventually, hopefully, going to play them. But yeah, like I said, we're going to talk about some upcoming horror games that we've got to look forward to. Hopefully, mostly this year. Some will obviously be beyond with delays and everything. But what I've basically done, nice and easy, I went on to the Googs. I went on Google, and I found a page from GamesRadar.com. And it's quite simply upcoming horror games in 2025. But like I say, I believe there'll be a few beyond 2025. But that's life. So I'm going to read through certain ones. There's a lot of these I haven't actually heard of, but I'm sure most of you will have heard of them. And then you can let me know. Are you excited? Are you not excited? And I'll also give you my opinion. So we begin with one game called Terror Endless Night, developed by Unseen Silence, and it's going to be released on PCs. The release date is to be announced. So it could very well be this year. It could be, here beyond. You'll want to put an extra pair of socks on for this one, especially if you've already watched the first season of The Terror. This strategic survival stress fest isn't officially affiliated in any way, but in Terror Endless Night, we're tasked with managing a crew aboard a 19th century ship hunting down the missing HMS Erebus and HMS Terror. As we too become trapped in the grip of the ice, we'll have to contend with sickness, fuel, starvation, and choose between life and death for the crew. Sadly, those socks probably aren't going to keep your sanity in check as reality starts to crumble under the stress of it all. Enjoy? ? So yeah, I've not heard of that one. I'm not a big PC gamer guy, because I don't have one, but I've never really been one for, strategy games and point-and-click stuff like that, apart from a few here and there, but the actual premise of it sounds decent enough. The picture of it looks alright. But yeah, wouldn't be one of my go-tos, a strategic survival stress fest. I had a hard time saying that. But obviously for some of you out there, I'm sure you'll be excited for that one, and let me know if you are and why. Why should I give it a bit more attention? Is it something I should look at? Should I consider? Even though I don't have a PC, but there you go. The next one is a game called Routine, developed by Luna Software, and it shall be released on Xbox Series X, Xbox One, and the PC. So no PlayStation, no Nintendo Switch. Release date also to be confirmed, like the last one. So could be this year, could be next year. We're used to long wait times for games after announcements, but it's been 10 years since sci-fi horror Routine was originally revealed. The re-reveal trailer shows an atmospheric, abandoned lunar base of flickering lights and juddering robotic monstrosities. Everything looks pleasingly analog too, as weaponry clicks and clacks into place. Hopefully we don't have to wait another 10 years for release, but at least we know it'll arrive on day one through Game Pass on Xbox Series X and Xbox One. So, quite a brief description there of Routine, which I didn't, again, not heard of it myself, and it apparently got announced 10 years ago. This sounds like it's going to be the Duke Nukem Forever of horror games, potentially. I'm not really sure what type of game it is. I didn't actually describe it in that then. Obviously, it's set in space, lunar, abandoned lunar base, atmospheric abandoned lunar base. Dead Spacey, possibly. Actually looks first person in the image depicted. If anyone knows more, or just wants to tell me more about Routine, then let me know. Get involved, get in touch with me on Bluesky, and let me know what is Routine. Should I be looking forward to it? I do own an Xbox. Should I check it out when it comes out? Looks kind of creepy from the picture, kind of Alien Isolation-y, if anything. Right, next up is a game called The Midnight Walk, developed by Moonhood, and it'll be coming out on PS5 and PC. Release date to be confirmed. From the devious souls that brought us Tim Burtonian action-adventure Lost in Random comes a creepily stunning upcoming horror game. The Midnight Walk is a dark and eerie adventure game that has been lovingly handcrafted from character models to environments. Awakening as the Burnt One, players will make a curious friend in the humanoid lamp creature Potboy, and together they must survive 5 strange tales about fire in a bid for survival. Grammar needs to work on Games Radar, just saying. People that are working at Games Radar, the grammar's not the grammar, the spelling. The spelling is not great, which does also affect grammar, but there you go. It very much looks like a Little Nightmares type looking game. Sort of like, I don't want to say Little Big Planet meets horror, but it's the style of it is not that the game's going to be like you build your own horror games, but it just looks, the style of it looks very Sackboy-y and Little Big Planet handcrafted. It looks quite smart. Little Nightmares, but more nightmarier. Again, there's more detail than what we've got for Routine, but I would imagine it's quite platformy, spooky, cutesy but spooky. Is the Midnight Walk, and yeah, PS5. I might keep an eye on that one. I'll stick that on the list, and I'll keep an eye on that to be confirmed date will hopefully be at some point this year, but for all we know, could be next year or beyond. Next game of upcoming horror games in 2025 and beyond. Tenebris Somnia, developed by Andres Borghi and Tobias Rushan. Coming out on PC and set to be released, it says to be confirmed 2025, so it should be out this year. Very retro looking, pixelated horror game. As it will now say in the description. Upcoming survival horror game Tenebris Somnia is an 8-bit horror game interspersed with live-action cutscenes. The grisly 2D adventure sees players solving puzzles and fighting back against horrific monsters, blending the worlds of video game and cinema to present a very different type of horror experience. The developer cites old-school Resident Evil and Silent Hill as stylistic inspirations, so it's definitely one to add to your list as we wait to hear more about what this delightfully strange new game might entail. I mean, if you know me, if you know this podcast, this channel, that's right up my street. Retro, old school, 8-bit horror, Resident Evil, Silent Hill. It's ticking all my boxes. It does look really good. I've played a few of these sort of 8-bit, 16-bit style horror games, and they've not all worked for me personally. Not knocking any games. I don't want to say anything because I don't want to upset people or upset developers of games, whatever. But I think it's just more me. I've found it difficult. I think there was one called Home. Just as an example, was it called Home? It came out. I played it on the PS Vita when the Vita came out. And it was like an 8-bit, 16-bit, 2D, side-scrolly survival horror type game. Not that it was bad, it definitely wasn't bad. It was just, I don't know, I just couldn't really get into it, but I know the general consensus of the game is that it's really, really good. And I understood what was really good about it, I just really struggled to enjoy it. So, like, it sounds like a game like this, Tenebris Somnia, should tick all the boxes for me personally, and what I enjoy out of horror video games. But yeah, remains to be seen. Like I say, on paper, it sounds like I should love it. Looking at the picture, it looks cool. I like retro stuff like this, but it's not making me really want to play the game. But yeah. Maybe you guys are into that sort of thing. A lot of you will be. So how many of you guys are excited for Tenebris Somnia? Have you even heard of it? Because I hadn't until now. Next up is one we probably all have heard of. Silent Hill F. Developed by Neobard Entertainment. The platforms are to be confirmed, as is the release date to be confirmed. Silent Hill games are definitely like buses full of pyramid heads. You wait 8 years and then 3 come along at once. Silent Hill F was also announced as part of the Silent Hill transmission stream and is another intriguing prospect. The trailer follows a young woman through a city as a strange red War of the Worlds style weed starts to devour everything. All we've got to go on is the official description, which says that Silent Hill F is a completely new story set in 1960s Japan, featuring a beautiful yet horrifying world. Here we go again. Oh wow! Hopefully you don't hear that background noise. There's workers working on a house next door, which is really annoying. So Silent Hill F. I remember the initial trailer that came out. It feels like many moons ago now. And it was very. What's the word? It didn't give a lot away, but like the description explains, the weed devouring everything, the War of the World style weed, everything getting infected by this like red weed or whatever it was, and that looked really cool, kind of Resident Evil 7-y, the way they did it with all the mold stuff, but Silent Hill form. It's very. There isn't a lot of information out there apart from the description. All we've got to go on really is that we all know what Silent Hill is. It's just, what Silent Hill are we going to get? Are we going to get Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill 3, or are we going to get Silent Hill Downpour, Silent Hill Homecoming, The Room? No, not The Room. What was the one that came out on the PS Vita? That was terrible. Book of Memories or something like that. Woofed. So that's the only thing. Are we going to get one of the good Silent Hills? Or are we going to get one of the dodgy Silent Hills? It remains to be seen. Sticking with Silent Hill, we also have Silent Hill Townfall, developed by No Code, and the platforms are to be confirmed, release date also to be confirmed. As part of the bumper Silent Hill transmission stream, Silent Hill Townfall was announced as a brand new addition to the series. If you enjoyed the creeping delights of Stories Untold and Observation, then you'll be pleased to know that Glasgow-based dev studio No Code are working on this fresh slice of the franchise. The trailer teasingly didn't give much away, with a man talking over shots of a small pocket television with discussions of punishment and judgment. It's a real honour for us to bring a new title to this series that both respects the source material, but also does something a little bit different with it. Creative director John McKellen said on the stream, "This could be very interesting indeed." Again, as with the last entry, Silent Hill F, this is another one they've not given much away yet, apart from the fact that it is a Silent Hill game. It is part of the franchise. Obviously, this is it's a more. It's not going to be modern day if it's got some guy watching something on a mini television, a pocket television as they call it, which is very 90s, early 2000s. So it's not. It doesn't look like it's going to be modern day Silent Hill, but it's more modern than the 1960s Silent Hill F. And again, remains to be seen what it's going to be, what actual type of game it is, and obviously how well it's going to be, because it's Silent Hill. It's it's a 50-50 toss whether you're going to get a corking Silent Hill or not. And yeah, how many of you guys are excited for upcoming Silent Hill video games? Which one are you looking forward to most, Townfall or F? Be surprised if F is the actual title of that Silent Hill game. It's a bit odd, but it's lowercase fancy F. The next game is Reanimal, developed by Tarsier Studios, coming out on PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC, with the release date to be confirmed. From the original Little Nightmares developer studio comes a brand new nightmare. Reanimal is an upcoming horror game that strikes a similar tone to Tarsier's past work, introducing us to two seemingly helpless child protagonists as they navigate a world of unimaginable horrors. As a shared screen local multiplayer experience, Reanimal could end up being one of the best co-op games if you and your friends are in the mood for a chilling tale rife with danger, atmospheric dread, and the stuff of fairy tales gone oh so wrong. Yeah, as described, just from the picture alone, this is the most Little Nightmares looking non-Little Nightmare game I can probably imagine. You could probably imagine if you saw the picture. Yeah, as they described, it depicts two childlike characters with a very big being lurking behind them. Very much reminiscent of Little Nightmares for those that played that. There will be more mention of Little Nightmares in this list because I did glance earlier. But I can speak for Little Nightmares. I really enjoyed playing Little Nightmares when I got around to that, because that was a pretty big deal when that came out. I remember that being it was something different back then. That Little Nightmares style horror game, because you were getting more games like Limbo and Inside, where you were playing as this helpless childlike character. Because like we went through the phase of the helpless protagonists of Outlast and Amnesia, Penumbra, Alien Isolation, where you're a grown up but you're put in these awful situations of dealing with a xenomorph alien, or creatures that you can do nothing about, so your job is to just hide. But then Little Nightmares and Limbo and all that brought in the child protagonist, where not only are you helpless, but you're a child as well. And this looks very much another game in that aspect, obviously made by the same developers as Little Nightmares. I feel like I did see a trailer for this in whatever PlayStation Showcase or whatever this got announced in. And it did pique my interest because, like I said, I did really enjoy Little Nightmares. And the more I'm talking about it, the more I really want to play it. So I might get that reinstalled and do some streams down the line because, yeah, it's a great game. And I still need to play the second one, actually. So who knows? Could do it for the YouTube channel. Project M, developed by Bloober Team, the team behind the fairly recently released Silent Hill 2 remake. And platforms, it's got to be confirmed for platforms, but then in brackets it's got Nintendo Switch. So does that mean it's a Switch exclusive, or they're predicting it's going to be on the Switch? Release date to be confirmed. Yeah, Project M. Okay, so this is less of a game announcement and more of just a heads up that a game is being made. But Layers of Fear developer Bloober Team has revealed a mysterious upcoming horror game called Project M. It's currently in the works for Nintendo Switch. The revelation came in an interview with CEO Piotr Babieno, saying that its budget is significantly smaller than the games we are working on at Bloober Team, but it's extremely important due to our long-term plans. In addition, we are working on it in cooperation with the world's best game creators for Nintendo platforms, so we cannot afford to create just a decent game, he says, indicating that whatever Project M is, a lot of pressure has been heaped upon the studio. That's all we really know just now, but we will be keeping you posted should Bloober Team reveal anything new in the coming months. Okay, so that's quite interesting. Also didn't realise Layers of Fear, one of my favourite horror games of all time, was developed by Bloober Team, who then, like I said, went on to make Silent Hill 2. Which is awesome. You know, I'm glad things worked out for him post Layers of Fear, because that is genuinely such a terrifying game. I actually got my partner to play it for a little bit when it was around Halloween season. I just said to, do you want to play a scary game? Because I personally, this is something I can delve into more down the line. I think horror games are far more effective than horror films. Or, you know, any other form of horror media. And it's simply because you are in control of the horror game. You're in control. You have a significant amount of control of what happens in those horror games. If you get me. You know, most of it's obviously scripted, and you've got to get to the points of the scripting for the horror to happen. But something like Layers of Fear is just, you know, it's down to your bravery and, you know, going into that spooky room and doing this, that, and the other to deal with the horrors, to let the horrors occur. You know what I mean? That, you know, it's just, I don't know. I love horror games way more than horror films, even though I do love horror films. But like, horror films, it's going to play regardless. You're going to press play and it's going to play regardless, and what happens. Whereas you have so much control of what actually occurs in a horror game, and there's just something special about it. And yeah, Layers of Fear, I got her to play Layers of Fear for a bit, and I think she actually quite enjoyed it. She did cack herself a little bit, and that was obviously part of why I made her do it, because it's funny. I laughed anyway, because I knew certain bits that were coming up, but it was still giving me that sense of dread because I hadn't played it for so many years, and it was just like, I remember just how creepy and eerie this game actually is. It was so good. It turns out there's like a remaster as well. I think a PS5 remaster or something like that for it. So, I'm not going to pay full whack for it, but the original version is just as good. It's just as amazing. Anyone that hasn't played Layers of Fear should go and play it. And as for Project M, I actually really look forward to seeing what this actually is. I'm playing the Nintendo Switch quite a lot again recently, so Switch horror game, why not? It could work. Could be for Switch 2 when that finally gets announced. Okay, next up is Paranormal Tales, developed by Digital Cyber Cherries, and it is going to be released on PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, and PC. More or less everything apart from the Switch. Release date to be confirmed. Of all the horror subgenres, found footage crawls under your skin in a very specific way. On the surface, our brains know that this is fiction, but the shaky handheld footage from phones or even body cams demands to be taken seriously as a threat. Cue Paranormal Tales, a terrifying-looking Unreal Engine 5 creation that lets us play various found footage files, encouraging us to explore further into the dark to discover what happened to those who were foolish enough to start hitting record. Expect plenty of movie-influenced jump scares and figures lurking in corners. You didn't even see the one in the screenshot above, did you? Nice. So yeah, basically, there's a screenshot. This is obviously a first-person horror game. It's probably like a horror simulation. And as they said, it's of a found footage type of game. And the image depicts a woman standing in the corner of a living room, like a busted living room, and very Blair Witch-esque. It's these types of games and the Blair Witch trope have been done to death, but there's a reason. It's super effective. Found footage stuff is not what it used to be. I think when it, going back to Blair Witch, that was the first mega famous use of found footage horror. And then everyone was jumping on board with that afterwards. For obvious reasons, because it is effective. The Blair Witch Project isn't the scariest horror film in the world, but it has its place because of that found footageness of it. And people were made to believe when the Blair Witch Project came out that was legit. It was one of the first uses of the internet being used to promote something as, that this was actual found footage of students lurking around the forest and poking around with the Blair Witch. When obviously it was just a film, and it's pretty well done film in all fairness. Even though, spoilers, nothing really happens in it. There's just a lot of tears, snot, and whining and moping. And then you get a fella stood in the corner at the end, and it's really creepy looking, but nothing actually happens. This very much looks like PT Outlasty Amnesia type deal. Paranormal Tales, so there's going to be more spooky ghost stuff. It could work, it could be terrible. I've played a lot of these, these indie type ones where it's all found footage stuff and it's a horror simulation as opposed to a horror game. Could be good, it could be not so good. Who knows? We'll have to see. Next up is OD, developed by Kojima Productions. Platforms Xbox Series X and PC, and release date to be confirmed. I will probably strongly expect this to be out 2026 and beyond, possibly. I don't know how far into development this game is, but most of us horror aficionados have heard of OD and remember the strange first trailer that we got with... Who was it? The girl. It's the girl from It, isn't it? It's the ginger girl from It, isn't it? Yeah, and this is what it says. It wouldn't be a Kojima project if it weren't shrouded in mystery now, would it? A collaboration between ex-Konami developer Hideo Kojima, Xbox Studios, and even Jordan Peele. OD is an upcoming horror game that looks less like a game and more like an experience. The brief look we got at OD during the Game Awards 2023 shows it to be suitably creepy and weird, and with A-list talent like Euphoria's Hunter Schafer on deck, we'll just have to sit tight and wait for more info on this one. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like they describe, it looks less like a game and more like an experience. The Game Awards 2023 didn't really show any gameplay. It just showed close-ups of these people's faces, but it had like a funny filter to it. Then I think they said weird things and it just got really creepy. I don't think this is anywhere near to being released, but it's interesting. Like I say, it's Hideo Kojima, and he's working alongside Jordan Peele, who did like the Get Out films and Nope and Us. Is that what it's called? Us. So it's like he's moved on from the Guillermo del Toro PT thing, which didn't really come to fruition, but then Guillermo did. He was part of, what's it called, Death Stranding and Death Stranding 2. So he's now moved on from him to Jordan Peele, and he's obviously given horror another stab. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see with this one. I'm looking forward to seeing what it is. I'm not desperately excited for the game itself until I see more about it, to be honest. The next game is called Nowhere, developed by Midnight Forge Limited, released on PC, and the release date is to be confirmed. So it's coming out on PC, and the release date is to be confirmed. So it could be this year, it could be next. Think Alan Wake 2 meets LA Noire. Add some extra Norse mythology, and you have hardcore detective horror game Nowhere. This upcoming horror game will see us examining items to make deductions in a series of investigations as we puzzle together what happened here and what the vengeful gods had to do with it. If you love yourself some spooky Nordic themes and settings, this atmospheric delight is one to watch. Yeah, so again, there's not a ton of information on this one. Alan Wake 2 meets LA Noire. I've still yet to play Alan Wake 2, and I really want to. Even though I wasn't really a fan of Alan Wake 1. I played some of it and I just couldn't really get into it. LA Noire is obviously cool as well, but what am I going to be doing? Hardcore detective horror game. So I'm going to be interviewing Norse demons? I don't know. I really don't know with this one. You know, I like my Nordic themes in God of War. I don't think it necessarily has to be horror, but who knows? We'll wait to see more. It might be a more interesting prospect down the line when we get a bit more information. For me, personally, but what do you guys think? You guys might like the sound of Nowhere a bit more than I do. Just had to go and shut the window because that background noise, people working next door, was really blinking loud. Rude people not considering that cool guys like me are recording podcasts about spooky horror games. Right, the next game is Ill, developed by Team Clout, coming out on PC, and the release date, like with most, to be confirmed. Could be this year, could be next. Revealed at the Future Games Show in 2022, Ill is an ultra-gory survival horror with its bloodshot eyes focused on pure dismemberment. The monsters here are mutated and tentacled creations, all intent on making sure that the last thing you see is a collection of flesh, so twisted you don't even really know what killed you. Even more disturbing is the fact that you're hardly going to have any ammo, so you're going to have to get smart about when to engage or when to just hurtle away in the other direction. Looks and sounds very much just like a bit of a Dead Space clone, possibly if you're going on the dismemberment side and mutated tentacled creations. Like with most in this list, there isn't a ton of information. You know, with games that haven't got a release date, you know, they're obviously early in development. You're not going to get a ton of information until they're near release. But if it's anything Dead Spacey, I'm going to be on board with the idea of it. I mean, the Callisto Protocol was terrible, but, you know, luckily we got the Dead Space remake and that made things better. But yeah, man loves some Dead Space, so if Ill is anything like Dead Space, then I will obviously check it out. Next game, Dark Web Streamer. And that's Dark Web, lowercase, and then Streamer in all caps, all one word. Developed by We Have Always Lived in the Forest. That's a funny name for a development team. Coming out on PC, release date to be confirmed. This upcoming horror game is a special one. Game director Chantal Ryan describes Dark Web Streamer as a psychological horror RPG meets narrative roguelike. What? And though it might look like deeply harrowing exploration of the endless secrets and mysteries of the deepest parts of the World Wide Web, it's also a deeply incisive comment on society, social media, and all the wicked things that go bump in our hearts. There's no sign of a release date yet, but the development of this compulsively replayable narrative experience is one to watch if you're looking for an indie horror game that promises to do something wildly different, both to the genre and to you as the player. Wow, that's a lot of words that it doesn't make sense in it doesn't compute in my brain. This screams indie horror to me. This is like the most indie horror looking horror game out there. Doesn't massively appeal to me. I like psychological horror, but narrative roguelike RPG, them's are a lot of combos, and can't say it's not going to work. For me, it probably won't work, but who knows? It's an interesting concept, but we shall see. When more information comes out, it might sound more appealing, but I don't know. For a lot of you guys, you're probably really looking forward to that, and let me know why, and then see if you can change my mind. Here we go. Now we're talking my language a little bit. Alien Isolation 2. Developed by Creative Assembly, platforms to be confirmed, release date to be confirmed. This is probably going to come out on pretty much most consoles apart from Switch. And yeah, release date, I would imagine 2026. But it could be the end of 2025, who knows? It's finally happening. 2014 survival horror masterpiece Alien Isolation is set to receive a sequel in the coming years, according to Creative Assembly's Al Hope via Twitter. That's pretty much all we know about the upcoming horror game right now, but it's already got us hyped for what's to come next. The possibilities are seemingly endless, and until the developer is ready to share more information, we'll have plenty of time to get our theorizing hats on. What's next? Amanda Ripley's daughter? So yeah, like it says, it was revealed in a tweet, in an X post. So there's been no actual footage, no images, no details of any kind, really. Just that Alien Isolation 2 is coming out. Whether it's a numbered sequel or it might just, it might be Alien bleh as opposed to Isolation. But there is an official sequel coming out. Even though technically we did actually get a type of sequel, a standalone game. I can't remember what it was called, but it came out on mobile, didn't it? It came out on mobile and tablets and that, Android and Apple or whatever. And it was kind of a Five Nights at Freddy's style game done in the Alien Isolation universe with Amanda Ripley. It was fine, but it's like you're tasked with protecting your crew and ordering them to go to certain rooms or something while there's an alien xenomorph hunting them and you down. And I'd actually like to give it another go, to be honest, if it's still available. It wasn't amazing, and it was like, I think a lot of people got a bit upset because that got announced and people thought, oh my god, it's an Alien Isolation sequel, and then that's what we got. But at least now, as fans of the game, of the Alien Isolation, which is one of the most amazing horror games ever made, is finally getting a proper, true sequel. I'd imagine probably next year and beyond, but at least it's been announced. Next up, I saw a lot about this when I was doing a little bit of research for this episode. This is The Occultist, developed by Daloar, Daloar. Platforms PC, PS5, Xbox Series X. Release date to be confirmed 2025, so at some point this year. Described on its Steam page as a spine-chilling experience, upcoming horror game The Occultist has pretty much everything I look for in a paranormal thriller. Creepy seances, ghouls galore, and what looks like a haunted carnival ground. What's not to love? I'm loving the sound of its first-person survival horror gameplay blended with stealth and psychic manipulation, thanks to protagonist Alan Rebels' trusty pendulum, all delivered in impressively high fidelity. This is one of those indie games that has the potential to rival the looks of many AAA games, and I'm hoping to put that theory to the test come The Occultist's as yet undisclosed 2025 release date. So I don't exactly know. I'm listening to first-person survival horror. So it's first-person survival horror, indie horror game. So like they mentioned in that description, then it's not a AAA game, but it should rival it in terms of graphics and how it runs. It looks kind of... I look at the image of like a grotesque-looking figure who's just all mangled up. And he's also got a horse's head in his leg, which is weird. I can't help but see... What was that game? The Suffering, with the people in prison. I don't know why I can't help but see that. That's what the game kind of looks like to me, but I'm probably super wrong. I don't know much about the game, but it was coming up on all upcoming horror games, to be excited about. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye on this one. And it is coming out on PS5 and Xbox, so that's a thumbs up in my book, because it means I might get to play it. But occult stuff is not really stuff that I'm massively interested in terms of horror. It's not my go-to for horror things, but definitely going to keep an eye on it, and we shall see. How many of you guys are looking forward to The Occultist? Next game is Ritual Tides, developed by Vert Paint Studios, coming out for PC, and then it says consoles to be confirmed. Release date also to be confirmed, but 2025. So it should be out this year. Ritual Tides. Rockstar vets have a new project in the works under a brand new studio, and it just so happens to be one of the most intriguing upcoming horror games around. Ritual Tides sees players awaken on a strange island, forced to reckon with the secrets lurking throughout. With little more than a simple teaser trailer and some vague concept art to go on right now, there's still a lot to be learned about this insidious Lovecraftian terror. All the more reason to keep Ritual Tides in your periphery as 2025 unfolds. So, again, very little information, but I love the sound of Lovecraftian terror, and when you're talking Ritual Tides, it could very well be Cthulhu-ness to it. Yeah, again, like I said, there isn't a lot of information. Simple teaser trailer with vague concept art. There isn't a ton to go on, but it's a game that's coming out. Lovecraftian, if you're into your Lovecraft stuff, this is probably one to keep an eye out for the year 2025. And, this is claiming it's coming out this year, so we shall see. As promised, we are getting Little Nightmares 3. Said I was going to mention it again, then I developed by Supermassive Games. Coming out on Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and PC. Release date to be confirmed, 2025. This spooky platform series is getting a third installment in Little Nightmares 3. We'll be accompanying two new mini-heroes, Low and Alone, as they navigate the treacherous world of Necropolis and beyond. Little Nightmares 3 will be the first game in the series to be developed solely by Supermassive Games, since past co-developer Tarsier Studios moves on to other projects, as mentioned before. With Supermassive being the mind behind some of the scariest interactive horror titles ever, we can't wait to see how the Dark Pictures Anthology Studio brings its unique brand of chills and thrills to the series. So that's really interesting. I didn't realise that this is solely Supermassive Games' new game. It'd be interesting to see if, how different it is from the other two. I can't speak for the second one. I've only played the first one, which I did really enjoy, as I said earlier. And I'm looking forward to this one. Like I said, I'm meaning to play Little Nightmares 2 when I get round to it, but I'm quite tempted to just play the first one again. Probably when I finished Soul Reaver 2, which I'm working on at the minute. I don't get a ton of time to play video games, but sticking with Supermassive Games, we also have Directive 8020, or 8020 if you want to get big numbers about it. Developed by Supermassive Games, coming out on PS5, PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and PC. To be confirmed 2025, so they're having a second game in 2025. The second season of interactive horror series The Dark Pictures Anthology is preparing for takeoff. Space-themed Directive 8020 was unveiled in September 2023, giving us a peek at its desolate deep space terrors that evoke a sense of dead space, system shock, and even a touch of Alien. This upcoming horror game looks set to deliver Supermassive's choice-based narrative adventure stylings once again, this time with survival horror leanings to up the stakes that much more. Ready to hold the lives of an ensemble cast in your hands as you fight to keep them alive against impossible odds? I know I am. I've not really played pretty much anything of the Dark Pictures Anthology. I know a lot about them. What was the first one that came out? Was it the Man of Medan or something? I played the first one, like a little bit the first one, because, oh god, I'm going to sound really stupid if I get this wrong, but I'm sure Supermassive did Until Dawn. I don't know. It might not actually be Until Dawn. But that style of video game, I'm not massive on it, but when it's horror themed, I'm more inclined to play it. So like Until Dawn, for example, more so than, what was the other one that was quite good? Detroit Become Human was quite good, but there wasn't horror to it. You know, like your Heavy Rain and Fahrenheit, whatever it's called. I'd be more inclined to play Directive 8020 or, you know, the other Dark Pictures anthology games because they're horror for that style of game. But I just haven't got around to it, even though I know a lot. I say a lot. I know some of what the other games are about. But yeah, could be interesting. I'll probably keep an eye on it, see what's going on, see how it's being received by everyone. But yeah, we're down to the last two now. We're getting there. The next game is Dark Fracture, developed by Twisted 2 Studio, coming out on PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series X. Release date to be confirmed 2025. Touted as a psychological horror experience, Twisted 2 Studio is bringing us a truly unsettling terror of a new game in the form of Dark Fracture. Sometime this year, from the gnarly screenshots and reveal trailer alone, it already sounds like I'll be calling my therapist about it later. We'll be exploring an ever-changing world where reality and nightmares combine, reads the Steam page. What's more, it's looking like Dark Fracture will launch on current and past-gen consoles, as well as PC platforms. Sign me up, says the writer of this page. Yeah, not a ton of information in terms of what the game is alone. Just that the screenshots and the trailer do showcase some pretty creepy, terrifying creatures. I'd imagine by the screenshot alone that it is probably first person. I don't think it actually said that in the description. But yeah, it's coming out on everything. Not a ton of information, but worth keeping an eye on. If it looks creepy, we're down for it, aren't we, horror peeps? We love creepy stuff because horror is awesome. And then save the best for last. Not really the best, because Alien Isolation is probably the one I'm most excited about. But I'm also a big fan of this series, even though I've only played one game in it. But Dying Light, The Beast, developed by Techland, platforms PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox One, Xbox Series X. Release date summer 2025. That's the most pinpoint release date that we've got out of all the games. Summer 2025. Kyle Crane is back from the assumed dead in Dying Light the Beast, an upcoming standalone chapter in the first-person survival horror series. Last seen supposedly sacrificing himself on a rooftop in Haran, Techland surprised fans by bringing back the series' inaugural hero for one last hurrah. Having spent 13 years in captivity being experimented on, it makes sense that Crane is pissed and not afraid to let the bad guys know it. With its dynamic day-night cycle, supercharged volatiles, and a greater focus on gunplay than in past installments, the Beast is shaping up to be pure Dying Light zombie-killing mania, wrapped up in a tight 18-plus hour story. It's also going to be free to all owners of Dying Light 2's Deluxe Edition. Thanks, Techland. Wow, that's interesting to know, because I do not own Dying Light 2. I have not played Dying Light 2. Which still kind of shocks me a little bit, because I absolutely loved Dying Light. I think Dying Light 1 is such a fun game. And I'm quite tempted, when I finish this up, to go and get Dying Light 2 downloaded. Especially knowing that if you get the deluxe edition of Dying Light 2, you apparently get this game for free when it comes out. So I'll keep that in mind when I have a look at it. But yeah, I just want to ask the people now. Dying Light 2 players, where does it rank in comparison with Dying Light? Because I love Dying Light. I think it does have that thing that those type of zombie horror games have. Your Dead Island and things like that. They do reach a point of repetitiveness, and you just feel you're kind of doing the same old thing. But but the actual core gameplay of Dying Light, I really bloody loved. I loved the the parkouriness of it and the melee combat and things. I thought it was a really fun game and I really enjoyed it. And then it had the co-op aspect to it, which I never really got to experience, but I'd love to give it a go someday. But yeah, is Dying Light 2 worth it? Because I'm kind of needing something new to play. I think when I finish up Soul Reaver 2, the Soul Reaver remasters, then, I'm going to need something new. And, for me, 2025 is the year of Free From Fear, so I need more horror games to play. I need more horror in my life. I've gone almost 5 years now with not a lot of horror in my life, so it needs to come back, and it might begin with Dying Light. And then halfway through the year, we should get Dying Light the Beast. And will it live up to the hype? Because I know a lot of us do love Dying Light. It's arguably the best first-person zombie slaying experience. It's far better than what was that Left 4 Dead clone that came out? Bad Blood or Back for Blood or something. It was, that wasn't great. But yeah, there we go. This video's gone on. This podcast has gone on longer than I'd hoped, but there we go. There's a bunch of upcoming 2025 and beyond horror games that we've got to look forward to. So let me know either in the comments below or on Bluesky. Get in touch with me. Which one are you looking forward to most? I think for me it's easily Alien Isolation 2 or Dying Light the Beast. But then I feel even Little Nightmares 3. But then, the last two that I've just named there, I've not even played the sequels of the first game, so I should probably get around to that before even considering these games. But yeah, let me know what you guys liked, what you're looking forward to, and thank you very much for listening. Happy New Year, everyone. Let's make it a corker. Let's just keep talking about horror games, keep playing horror games, and let's enjoy this year and enjoy any new releases that we get. Horror games, horror films, horror books, whatever media horror comes in. It's an awesome genre, and we're going to make the most of it. So, thanks, guys. I shall catch you all later. Ta-ra.